Fortnite just dropped their first major update of the new season. They've buffed the Sovereign Shotgun, they've nerfed the Captain America shield, and they've vaulted their first mythic from competitive. A lot of people are saying they're already letting sweats ruin Fortnite, but I want to talk about why I actually think this update is looking really solid. Speaking of updates, we now have confirmation we are getting massive mid-season content with a potential Stark major update and a Fortnite Nightmares update midway through the season. This season is about to be absolutely stacked with content. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. All right, so what did they actually change and were they good changes? So first off, the Sovereign Shotgun got 2 buffs. It now ADSs quicker, aim down sights, and while you're ADSing, you shoot faster. So when you're looking down the sights of the Sovereign Shotgun, you now shoot faster and you can now do this more quickly. Now, I think this overall is a good change. The Sovereign Shotgun does a lot of damage while ADSing, but it was extremely slow. Now, they did make it 25% faster. That is quite noticeable. Pair that with the angled foregrip, and it's actually really quick to be able to ADS, which I think if you fit that playstyle and you like actually ADSing your shots at close range, you're gonna do a lot of damage. Now, the Sovereign Shotgun is still really good at 2-tacking people, and even while ADSing and hitting a max damage headshot with the gold rarity, it's still only 165. So at the same time, while this is a buff, it's really only a buff to certain playstyles, and I don't think it's really gonna affect too many players. But then again, you might see some more pros maybe putting a scope on this now and trying to run it in like box fights, going for like 2-tile long shots. I don't know, we'll see. But it wasn't really a massive update. I still ultimately do think the Gatekeeper is better, especially if you get the drum mag on it or if you're not running out of ammo. But any buff to the Sovereign, I'm happy with. Anything that makes the Gatekeeper less and less meta, I'm fine with it. I don't completely hate the shotgun. I'm just sick of it being meta now 3 seasons in a row. That's all I'm saying. So next up, Captain America's shield. Now, it does slightly less damage and it will require more accuracy to hone. Now, what they mean by this is the throwing ability of the Captain America shield. Now, this is meant to be a shield, and obviously almost every item they've added to the game that blocks bullets, I hate it. I find them really goofy and really terrible. Now, Captain America's shield, at least it has the attack ability on it, which makes it a bit more funny to use, but it is extremely strong. Now, I'm saying this knowing that Muselk is going to watch this video because my man has been on an absolute tear trying to prove that the Captain America shield is broken, because the first night of the new season, he tweeted out saying that it was broken and everyone flamed him. He was getting called skill issue in the replies, and my man took it personally. So much so that on stream, he challenged me to a 1v1 in no builds with the shield. And I'm going to say, he did clap me. This thing, especially in no builds, is ridiculous. If you chase someone inside a building and they have the shield, they can block every shot, throw it at you, 70 damage. It's so quick, it's so overpowered. But again, really only in that unique scenario. As soon as you're outside, as soon as you run away or disengage, it's not that strong. But I do like these changes, nerfing the damage to the throw and especially the honing ability, because it was just straight aimbot. It would lock onto you behind walls. It would always hit you. And if you guys haven't seen zero build endgames, they basically look like this right now. It's people just flying through the sky, throwing shields, trying to get shields to go through bunkers. It's all a bit hectic, and the Captain America shield is clearly very strong. No one's really running it in a competitive setting from what I can see. It's really mostly only affecting pubs and ranked, and especially zero build pubs. But ultimately, I'm fine with this change. The main point of this shield isn't going to be a massive damage dealer. It should be the shielding capability. I'm fine with it, but I was interested to see the fact that Epic made this change so quickly, and it did upset a lot of people. People are already saying now, oh man, the sweats are ruining the game. They're complaining about everything, and now all the cool new items are getting nerfed or vaulted. I don't think it makes the item completely unusable. It's still really strong. Don't worry. Now, we got some changes just to competitive. Like me, you're absolutely loving the jetpack. Don't worry, it wasn't vaulted. I had a heart attack when iFireMonkey tweeted out the jetpack was vaulted. I really did panic. I love that item. I really want to stay in the game, and I'll talk about why that is in a little bit. I think it's absolutely amazing, and I do not want it to go away. First off, we have the War Machine's Arsenal being vaulted. I am totally fine with this. This thing was very cheesy. Now, it was causing a lot more issues in pubs and ranked and maybe more lower level tournaments or scrims. I really wasn't seeing it cause a big issue in higher lobbies. Almost no one was carrying it. All the top tier pros were not running this item. Not because it wasn't good, but because there were so many other better items to carry. Even just carrying triple meds or triple guns so you still have spray capability, but you can get your surge, or of course, the jetpacks. No one was really running it in high lobbies, but it was very cheesy and it was very frustrating to verse, especially in ranked or if it was a W key tournament. Any item that shoots infinite explosive rockets is always going to be an issue. It just felt like mini mechs 2.0. I don't know why Fortnite keeps adding things that are infinite into competitive Fortnite. It usually causes issues if it does damage. Obviously, infinite mobility like recharging grapplers and stuff, not as big of an issue, but as soon as it has infinite and it does damage, it's always going to be cheesy. It's always going to be annoying to verse. So I'm very happy to see the War Machine's arsenal was vaulted despite the fact that it wasn't really affecting high level comp that much. And again, people are going to call me a hypocrite when I talk about why I love the jetpack. I don't want all the fun, unique items taken out of the game, but any gigantic, constant running, infinite explosive item, I think is just frustrating to verse. I think it's just not really fun, defeats the purpose of having builds in the game when they're just constantly being exploded. Not to mention, every time I fought someone running this, I thought I was versing two separate people. It was just really confusing and overwhelming. Next up is the Shockwaves. Now, I would have loved Shockwaves to be in competitive regularly. I just love the Shockwaves. They are extremely exciting. There was a time in the past where I hated the Shockwaves in competitive. I thought they were terrible. I thought they were cheesy, but after the last couple seasons of having no mobility, I really want fun mobility items again. I don't want them to be too strong, but I think Shockwaves... Okay, Shockwaves are pretty strong, all right? Maybe I would prefer something like Crash Pads or the current Jetpacks, but I would rather Shockwaves than nothing. I would rather some form of mobility in competitive. I know a lot of pros don't like that. I know a lot of people complain about it, say it's not fair when they don't have it and other players do, but I think the last two seasons of having just no mobility or such bad and boring mobility really has made people kind of forget what playing fun, exciting mobility metas are, like the Shockwave Hammer. Now, obviously the Nitro was extremely strong and it was very OP at getting in boxes, but it wasn't the best for rotating, and I think people have forgotten what it's like to play with actual rotation items. So the Shockwave Grenade got vaulted because it wasn't meant to be in tournaments. The only way you got it was out of the loot drones, which I'm guessing was obviously a bug, and it looks like Epic has vaulted it. They are staying in ranked and pubs, which again, ranked and competitive right now are not the same loot pool. I have no idea why we've gone back to doing that. It's nowhere near as bad as last season with the cars, because obviously that made it so much worse, and why it took Epic so long to split the ranked and tournament, ranked and pub loot pools just blows my mind. But we are back to ranked and pubs being the same loot, which is very odd. I'm hoping Epic is going to change that back, because I think everyone prefers it when ranked is the same as tournament loot. I don't know about you. If you want to play with the goofy stuff, you go play pubs. You want to practice for tournaments and you want to sweat, go play competitive. It just makes sense for everyone. Go play ranked, gear up for tournaments. But either way, Shockwaves have been vaulted from tournaments. They will still be in ranked though. Now, let me defend my point of why I love the Jetpacks. They are just so fun to watch. They are so exciting to watch right now. They're actually making the season feel fun and unique. The only unique things we've had from the last few seasons, like the Infinite Dash Medallion and the Nitro, just felt cheesy and annoying. The Jetpacks are strong, don't get me wrong. They are good. And if a player has a jetpack and you don't, there is a much higher chance they're going to do better in the game. But it isn't just an instant free win, and a lot of people have a chance to get the jetpack. Their highest drop rate is out of the new Marvel chest, and they are very, very well spread out around the map. You can still get them in floor loot, you can still get them out of chests, so everyone has a chance to get them, and if you don't, you can still fight for them. They're not so overpowered you can't kill someone who has one when you don't. So I absolutely love them in competitive right now. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of pros and a lot of people complaining about them, saying they're not fair, especially coming to global champs. A lot of drop spots that don't have as an easy of a chance to get 2 jetpacks as what other drop spots are always going to complain. It's one of those mobility items that is really only great if you both have it. It's not really something you can just run one-on-one player. I feel like a lot of duos, if they don't get a second one, they might still run it just to kind of get around a little bit faster for one of the players and condition rotates, but most players will actually just leave the one behind or carry it hoping they get a second one. Any kind of high ground retake you want to go for, any front side dash you want to go for, you can't do unless both teammates have them, which I get that's frustrating. It's why I love mobility items like bounce pads, like crash pads, like launch pads. Anything that you can use with 2 people combined is always going to be my preference, but I think they're super fun and really, really unique. They are making the game so much more exciting right now after 2 seasons that, in my opinion, I was getting bored of. I'm going to be honest. I've been watching this game for a really long time. Maybe it's just me, but I didn't want to see another no mobility meta that just felt like every other season. You can add whatever assault rifles, shotguns, whatever other guns you want to the game, but what really defines seasons for me is always going to be the mobility meta, like the katana season, like the Shockwave hammer season, having a really cool, unique piece of mobility that defines the season and makes it feel really different to play, gives you entirely new strategies and how to, how you engage with the game and how you watch it is so exciting. Please, Epic, do not get rid of the jetpacks. I'm gonna be so sad. Now, speaking of updates and ruining competitive, something I've seen a lot of people talking about is the fact that we just got a list of when all the major updates are happening this season, and there's one set to take place September 4th, which is only 3 days out from the Global Championship, the $2 million LAN event, which this whole year is geared up to. And obviously, that's going to concern a lot of people. We've seen some very goofy things happen in very major tournaments. Obviously, just last season, we had the Cacti vaulted just 2 days out from the event. We've also seen LAN events in the past where there's been massive map changes the morning of the LAN event. Unfortunately, Epic doesn't give people a lot of faith that they're not going to do big updates before the LAN. But Epic have finally learned from this, and we now know that Epic is actually developing their own custom version of Fortnite for global championships. Evan, one of the main devs of Fortnite, you've heard me talk about him in the past. He's very social on social media, and he's been talking about how he's developing a version of Fortnite that is going to be completely separate from the regular version of Fortnite. It doesn't mean they're changing everything and the game's going to function differently. All it means is like they're taking a snapshot of Fortnite at a certain point in time, taking that out of the regular game and saving it separately so the pros can play on that version of the game, not whatever the new version is. So any changes they make on September 4th or anything they do to the game to make it, crazier or wackier, or Stark Industries pops up on the map, that will not affect the LAN event. So anyone who's panicking, don't worry, we are saved in that regard. Fortnite have learned from their mistakes in the past. Speaking of major updates though, and there's not too many people talking about this, for those of you guys who maybe watched the trailer or thought we're gonna have, Stark rifles and what happened to Iron Man's items, it's because we are actually getting a massive update, I think around week 5 into the season. So it looks like all of the Stark related items, the Unibeam, which has been in the game files, the Stark rifle, and Iron Man's repulsors, which is like his mobility item, are gonna be added into the game in a few weeks. Now, this is obviously going to be after the LAN event, which I think is very deliberate. I think September 4th might have some major changes in it, but I don't think it's going to be as big as this update. I don't know if we're going to get a Stark season mid-season update like we got in the past, where we had a giant island come out of the ground and we had an entirely new map basically with a whole new feel. That mid-season update was basically its own brand new season. We might be getting that level of content again this season. There's challenges in the game files that speaks to using some of these items, so we know they're being added. And again, we saw so many of them in the trailer and never saw them actually get put into the regular game. There's no way we go the entire season without seeing the new Iron Man flying, which we saw in the trailer, which honestly looked even stronger than the jetpack, despite the jetpack being really solid now. Again, the jetpack only really became good because people figured out you can dash cancel with it. If you haven't played around with it, I've talked about it so many times. It is just double jump, dash, double crash, or double cancel, and you will slide. It's so overpowered. You'll see every pro do it. If you can't do it, go into the settings, change your keybinds. But either way, the jetpack in the trailer looked terrible. It has now turned out to be extremely strong. I can't even imagine what the Iron Man mythic will look like because already it looked so incredibly strong flying around through the sky. So I'm kind of happy that isn't going to be in the LAN event. It probably does, tip the scales of what I want with being a little bit too overpowered and a little bit too crazy. I think the jetpack is a perfect spot right now for a little bit of fun, a little bit of excitement, but not too overpowered. But a mid-season update to keep what has already been a very popular season even more fresh has me so excited. Don't forget, we already know we are getting a Fortnite Nightmares update midway through the season as well on October 1st. Hypex tweeted out Fortnite has began testing the 31.30 update, dropping October 1st, and should start leading up to Fortnite Nightmares. The full Fortnite Nightmares update 30.40 drops October 15th. So between this Stark update, Fortnite Nightmares, we are in for some absolutely massive mid-season content either way.